Hi team, welcome to the TrackHouse. I am super excited about this. Today we're going to do a 20-minute, very easy kind of walk run session. This one I'm going to label an intro to running for the simple reason that I just want to introduce myself. I want to introduce the TrackHouse, but I also want to do it whilst we're doing something. So the aim, or what is the TrackHouse? TrackHouse is, and if you are heading out for a run or you are on a treadmill, just get it moving. We're just going to move nice and slowly. I have a long history of running. It's something that I really love. It's something that I've been passionate about. I have a long history with treadmill running, especially. This particular treadmill, I actually set a world record on for running 12 hours non-stop. No pee breaks, no stepping off, no slowing down. And part of it is just, it's fueled by passion. And the TrackHouse, I want to be a place where runners can come, they can feel safe, we can guide you through some runs, whether you want to do that outside or whether you want to do that indoors on a treadmill. Today, let me just talk you through the session very quickly. 20 minutes of movement. So it's going to be a bit of walking, a bit of running, nothing too drastic. We're going to do a 5-minute warm up. So we're going to just kind of move off, get 5 minutes of just moving. I always like to use the warm-up for two reasons. First of all is obviously the obvious physical reason. You know, you just start coming up onto your toes as you are walking. You know, maybe you've just left the house and you're not quite switched on yet. You're not quite in the mood. So you're just going to start doing a few things that connect you to your body. And that is in part talking about my second reason that I like having a warm-up. And that is you get to kind of mentally connect your body and your mind, because there are times when you can kind of head out the door and just completely switch off, and in which case you're not really in the right frame of mind to run and you struggle to enjoy it. So part of the reason I like to do a little nice easy slow warm-up is it connects your mind and your body. So just move nice and gently, whether it's a walk and you're thinking about it. One of the things that, especially when talking about runners or talking to runners from a beginner perspective, you know, the simple act of running is something that we're super familiar with, but the actual art of running becomes a little bit more tricky. And that's what the TrackHouse is really about. Just kind of explaining a few things and taking us through really simplified and easy training methods and training routines to help us improve. But mostly, you know, it's about getting out there and actually just doing the exercise. And that is super important. So my concept is pretty simple. I want to be producing a ton of live video content, live training content. We're 3 minutes in, so we've got 2 minutes left for the warm-up. Maybe you might want to go into a nice little light jog now. Maybe, well, I'll join you on a nice little light jog. Nothing too much. When I talk about light jogs and warm-up jogs, and you'll hear me say this a lot, it's one of my favorite things ever, is when I talk about the warm-up jog, I like to think of it as that moment when you are crossing a road and you're at a crossing and you see a car coming. And because you're super courteous, you're super polite, you kind of want to let the car know that you're actually, you know, you're not just dawdling as you cross the road. So you do that thing where you kind of swing your arms a little bit more. You kind of feign that you're moving a little bit quicker by kind of shuffling the legs a little bit. That is exactly the warm-up jog. So next time you're crossing the road, car comes and you're like, I'm going to be super courteous and just kind of let him know that I'm putting a bit of effort in. That's kind of the warm-up jog. You're kind of pretending, but you're actually not at the same time. So you know your speed doesn't really change, but your pace and your foot turnover does. 1 more minute, and then I am going to encourage everyone to go into a jog. But the TrackHouse for me is about teaching running. It's about enjoying running. It's about providing the motivation for everyone to come, join in, and be part of that. And it's super important, learning things as we go, not just kind of blasting music and running along for the sake of it. I want everyone to feel like they go away having developed something and having learned something. And part of that we're going to go over today, because I actually host or have hosted some run groups and some live runs and run coaching before this. 15 seconds. I'm just going to gently encourage everyone to move up into that kind of jogging pace. And that will be the first 5 minutes on the treadmill. And, you know, obviously sometimes treadmill running in itself becomes a bit of a pain. 3, 2, 1, just gently move up into a nice easy run. And I'm going to talk you through some things, some exercises you can do mentally to connect to the moment. But it's not that treadmill running is necessarily harder or easier than outdoor running, but it does require a bit more concentration for the very simple fact that, you know, every step you take, you don't move any further away from the finish line. At any moment, you can step off and kind of go home. And that's what the TrackHouse is about, is that kind of gentle encouragement to keep you at it, keep you motivated, keep you coming back. One of the things I love to do, and it's one of my favorite things, is do a full body check. I like to do this very early in the run. So once I get out and kind of start connecting to my body and perhaps doing a few warm-up drills that we'll go over another time, I like to do a full body check. I like to start from the feet. And this is something that I encourage everyone to do. Doesn't matter whether you're inside on a treadmill, whether you're outside on the road. And especially if you're kind of, during your warm-up, if you've got an event, it's really important. And what I do is just encourage you to think about how your feet are landing on the floor. Just connect for a moment and think, am I hitting with my heel? Am I hitting with my midfoot? Am I hitting with my toes? And if you can just register what you're doing now at the beginning of your run, check in later to see whether that has changed. That's a very good indicator of where your body's at and where your fatigue is and where your fatigue levels are. So do that now. Just think, am I landing and heel striking? Nothing wrong with it if you're heel striking, especially in this modern day and age. Tons of shoes that let you do that. Or am I landing midfoot? And then am I still landing midfoot towards the end of the run? Just think to yourself, okay, cool. That's it. Then just start thinking, am I pronating? And pronating is one of those words where ultimately we mean the foot landing and rolling from the outside to the inside as you move off. So you're just gently landing on the outside of your foot, just ever so slightly, rolling onto the midfoot, and then moving off that big toe. And that's something that's very important in cushioning the way that we land and then the way that we move off. Just think to yourself, how do my ankles feel today? Is there any tightness, soreness? How do my Achilles feel? Achilles, back of the heel, super important muscle or tendon for running. I don't need to explain why. It should be pretty obvious as to why the muscle attached to the back of your foot is super important. Then I just think, okay, well, how do my muscles feel? How do my leg muscles feel? Any tightness in the calves, any tightness in the hips, in the quads, in the hamstrings? And this is really important because the reason I like to check in now is because later in the run, some of these tightness and some of the sorenesses alleviate themselves, and it becomes, you effectively, through the process of running, you warm up, you mobilize, and there is no muscle soreness. So if you check in at the beginning of your run, recheck towards the end of your run, you'll get a good indicator of how your body is actually doing. Because, you know, whether you are a complete beginner or a seasoned athlete, you know, there might always be some soreness, but some of those sorenesses go away. Some of those sorenesses might stick around. And if they stick around, you probably need to address them. I love to talk about the hips. I love to talk about engaging the core. And when I learned to run, it was super important for me to actually just physically tense my ab muscles whilst I was running. And I'm going to tell you, like, that was a hard thing to do when I first started running. I remember it clear as day, the number of miles I did where I was like, wow, like I really have to think about kind of tensing my core muscles so that I'm not like really arching my back and I'm staying nice and tall and upright. And that's something that you want to be thinking about where every time you go out for a run. And then, as always, we talk about it. Nice, loose shoulders. You know, how loose are your shoulders? Because if they're not going to be loose at the start of the run, they're certainly not going to be loose at the end of the run. We have a tendency, whilst we are running, to tighten up especially in our shoulders, and we start kind of raising our shoulders towards our earlobes. And that's what you want to try and avoid doing. So every now and again, I implore you, drop the hands completely down by your side, relax the shoulders, roll them around. And then what I like to do is bring your shoulders all the way up to your ears and then push them all the way down and then pick your hands back up. That's going to reset your shoulder movement, because ultimately, you know, your arms move your legs. If you've ever tried running without your arms, it becomes a lot more difficult. So they do play an important role. And it's also important to remember that the shoulder is a ball and socket joint. So you should be moving your arms backwards and forwards, not rotating the entire torso whilst you move. So we are 11 minutes into our 20-minute intro to running program. For me, when I talk about running, or when I look at my kind of running history and what I want to do with it, first and foremost, for me, it's always about pleasure. I want to enjoy it. And there is, and you might not like the fact that I say this, you know, there is a large part of running where not every run you are going to enjoy. So I like to look at running as a compound sport. You know, the run that you did yesterday helps you with the run you do tomorrow. And for me, I love the outdoors. I love getting to places, and I love feeling good when I get there. So there are a few runs you might head out on where you actually, you know, you don't enjoy it that much, but it is going to help the run tomorrow or the next day be that little bit easier. And also, probably the biggest thing, or the biggest question mark when it comes to people who start running, who are new to running, when we talk about things, is breathing. And I think the first thing I have to say about that is breath work is very important, but learning about breath work and working on your breath work does not mean that it automatically switches on and becomes very easy. So what I'm going to do just a little bit is increase my pace just that tiny bit now, as we are nearing 13 minutes. And so effectively we've broken halfway through the run. So I do a couple of minutes where I just build up slightly, and I'm going to talk you through some breath work and ways that you can, or things that you can do and implement in your running that just might help you. So I like to talk about being forceful with your breathing, which is an interesting concept, right? And what I mean by that is physically drawing air into your mouth, into the back of your mouth, that kind of pushes through into your lungs. And be forceful with that and draw that in nice and hard. And then as your pace increases and you have to kind of physically and mentally breathe a little bit harder and a little bit deeper, it gives you something to concentrate on. And that's what you want to do. You want to concentrate on being forceful with your breathing, actively drawing air in. Don't just rely on it as a automatic mechanism that happens when you run. Sometimes you're going to have to think about it, focus on it, create that rhythm between the rate that your feet are turning over and the rate that you are breathing. And then what you want to do is try and relax into it and maintain a meticulous rhythm with both your breathing and your foot strike, so the pace of which your feet are turning over. And it can be hard to do. There is no magic pill or magic switch that is going to help you kind of immediately be better at breathing. So for now, what I need you to do is breathe with a little bit of purpose. So in and out. Find a rhythm that suits the amount of work you are doing in terms of how much hard work it is with your running, and sink into that and try and enjoy the rhythmic nature of breathing. And it becomes really important when we start talking about things like intervals and tempo work. with 5 minutes left, I'm actually going to bring the pace down. And I'm going to tell you why in a second, because nice and easy. Yes. The reason I want to finish this or finish today's run, today's 20 minutes, we've got 5 minutes left, nice and easy, is what I like to call positive reinforcement. What is that, Max? Positive reinforcement is when you finish something feeling good, feeling proud, and feels like you could do it again, or you want to go and do it again because of the way that you have finished it. And what I mean by that is, if you go out and make every run a slog and super hard, and it's hard work, it doesn't encourage you to go and do it again. Don't get me wrong, as we progress through our programs, as we work through our little 5Ks, 10K programs, season athlete programs, yes, there might be a few sessions where we push ourselves that little bit harder, but a lot of them are about that positive reinforcement. Finishing well, finishing feeling good, not finishing like, oh, that was horrible, I don't want to do that again. And then that way, it encourages us the next day to go and try it again. And that's why when you look at running, it's so much more than just putting on your trainers, disappearing off into the sunset and coming back an hour later, absolutely exhausted. There is a time for everything. And that's what I really have found with my running journey, is that I've really enjoyed about it, is that if you just look at running on its own and just think of it as putting on a pair of trainers, it's not as exciting as thinking about the runs where you can slow it down and relax and enjoy it. And then there are runs where you are feeling good, so you work a little bit harder. But today, with 3 minutes left, we are just going to slow things down. Breathing becomes easier. You should be able to talk to people. We call this like an aerobic zone. So zone 1 or 2, where you are mostly using your body fat to fuel yourself. And you should be able to quite comfortably have a conversation with someone. 2.5 minutes to go. Nice, easy breaths. Focus on feeling good. That's a positive reinforcement. You are proud of yourself for finishing. You finished well, you finished strong. You feel like you could carry on for further. That's the idea. And then it means the next time you head out, you might want to go on, or the next time you think, oh, I've got a run on Thursday, or run on Friday, or run on Monday. It encourages you to get out there and do it because you feel good from the last time and you don't have tons of negative connotations that surround it. So last 2 minutes, nice and easy, rolling through, really good time to just think how your feet are landing on the floor. Just connect with your body once again. How is your foot striking? Are you still running in the same style as when you were before? And that's what this introduction to running is about, is just getting you to, I hope, realize that if you can connect your mind to what you're asking your body to do, then you're going to enjoy it a lot more. You're going to be a lot more conscious of the way that you run, and that's going to help you as a runner. We have 1 minute left. Last 60 seconds. I'm just going to slowly reduce my speed even further so it's nice and easy. Maybe even slow it down to a walk. There is absolutely nothing wrong. And this is super important. Walking is a huge part of running. And it's not really kind of spoken about enough because, by definition, the label itself, we're referred to as runners, referred to as joggers. It's not the little secret. There is a huge amount of walking involved. And that's what, if that is part of the exercise you need to do that encourages you to do little pieces of running in between, then that's fantastic. That's all that matters. Last 15 seconds, slow it right down. Nice and easy. relax. Immediately, I change the way that my feet are striking the ground, rolling on the heel all the way through to the big toe. 5, 4, 3, 2, and that is going to be me done for 20 minutes of an intro to running with the TrackHouse. Thanks for joining in today, guys. I am looking forward to helping anyone that wants to work and wants to improve their running, or perhaps just wants to listen to me chat at them for 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes as we go through these different programs. We're going to have Couch to 5K series, Couch to 10K series, season athlete programs. The idea is just to encourage more and more people to come out and run. So thanks for checking out the content today, and hopefully I will see you out there for another 20-minute run a little bit further down the line.